before we go, a few viewer comments, a couple of which came not from YouTube, but from Board Game Geek, where you can also find some of our videos. Let me tell you, these Board Game Geek people, real curmudgeon-y, real critical of everything. What a bunch of nerds. All right. So,
well, that's going to make them like us
we
more.
talked about Star Trek Ascendancy. I don't need their love. A few weeks ago. That's the new Gale Force. That's the Gale Force 9 one. Star Trek game. And we made some comment about, we're comparing it to Firefly, because Gale Force 9 also made that, and how Firefly is like a Western in space and something like that. And they were saying, well, actually, Star Trek was also a Western in space. The original Star Trek was based off the television show Wagon Train. But then they go on. Star Trek, Firefly is much more like the adventurized version of the Wild West and wears that influence on its sleeve. Star Trek is more akin to a romanticized version of the Old West and completely covers its influences over with a sci-fi theme.
No, I actually sort of agree with this. I definitely think they're both Westerns from different perspectives.
Yeah.
I would argue that the Firefly is a perspective of maybe more like the lone gunman, very small, like the guy who's
JFK.
The guy who's on his own. They're much more, the law is their law. While Star Trek is more from the Union soldiers, like the much more organized group who are entering this wild land to bring the law.
Right.
And I think they're both reasonable, and that's why Gale Force 9 we're very excited about. So I do think that's a fantastic analysis.
And it's also, I agree with their point overall, but they said it themselves, completely covers its influences over with its sci-fi theme. Like the philosophical and kinds of science fiction ideas that show up in Star Trek are not in any Western.
Well, yeah, that's why I said, and also let's.
I feel like it's much more like if you took the Firefly, same characters, mostly the same plots, and put them in the 1800s, not much would change.
You
can't say that about Star Trek.
That's what I was going to joke about. Like, if you not even that, just look at this design. If you took Mal and put him in a Western movie,
right.
He wouldn't look different. Literally, his gun is still a revolver.
Right. Yes, it's much more.
So I think there is a fair, much more obvious tropes.
See what you're saying, but come on. You know what we're saying. Rick.
Calm down.
David.
Well.
So then.
Swing and a miss.
We also got. We're talking about Voyage of the Beagle, which we played through for our stream. Mm-hmm. And the ridiculousness of when the horse was helping me hunt on the boat. Well, apparently there actually is a page in the rule book. Yeah, you're not supposed to use the horse on the boat.
Well, there you go, Jonathan.
So there's that. That does not say that in the scenario, though, so you have to look through the book to see it. So I think it's
just the fun of errata.
Not fair that we missed. Not totally crazy that we missed that.
Oh, like we say with most of our games, we're going to screw up at least 5 rules.
I'm fine. I think it was great. I think the horse should be allowed in the boat. Horses can go on boats. And finally, we reviewed the Magic the Gathering documentary tournament movie. Rico Cordova, not a fan. Not
of
pleased.
The movie or of us?
Of the movie.
Okay.
We're back to YouTube now. This is our friend Rico Cordova. He likes us. Back at home here. He talks a little bit about Magic the Gathering and how he's not a Magic the Gathering player. Mainly, he doesn't have people to play it with. I think he's a little turned off by some of the tournament scene, the players, that kind of thing. He says he thinks this was a missed opportunity to do something great. Would have loved to hear about some of the design evolution, i.e. Black Lotus. How do they decide that? Statistics. There's potential to see the culture of the game. There are a lot of personalities in these tournaments, good, bad, and ugly. And in his experience, MTG has just as much meta as actual game. They could have gone into the dynamics of trading, boosters, commander, deck building, drafting, tournaments. Huge missed potential.
No, I definitely agree with pretty much everything you just said. I definitely think, well, first of all, the game store that you're near can make or break your Magic experience. Like I've been lucky enough to go to multiple. And I know there are some stores that I can still return to.
He also cites the expense of the cards and the fact that nobody in his family wanted to play with him.
Right, and that's, of course...
There's some hurdles.
Yes. Well, many things have hurdles.
Yes. Races.
Yes. And, we were just talking earlier about how the 4-color commanders and how I'm like, I don't know how they're going to design those. That's a huge hurdle to hit.
Right.
And like that's the kind of stuff like I know you and I are very interested in, even outside of picking our blinders off for Magic. Like when you get a movie, you're excited not just for the movie. You love the story, but you're excited on what's happening in the background and stuff. So I think and honestly, I bet a lot of people who play Magic would love to hear that stuff. I would like, in particular, the stuff that Wizards of the Coast isn't nearly as in control of, like the trading market,
right?
Like the singles market. Like it's definitely be interesting. What were their thoughts when Jace hit the scene?
And I think that what you touched on it is that this was. I still am not sure. I didn't look up, but it's Wizards of the Coast likes this movie. It's on their website. You know, I don't know if they had a direct hand in making it, but they certainly have a presence.
I'm sure they were.
And I don't think they want people to be talking about that stuff. I think their goal with this movie was, look how exciting and fun this was.
No, that's the thing. I think the movie is, what we want is a different movie.
Yeah.
I think this movie was designed to be more like, it's more like when you see an NFL or NBA on ESPN, esports, talk about specifically like 4 players or something. Like this was more like just the highlight reel.
Right.
They sort of, let's be honest, we got a sort of Cinderella tale in it. Like, will someone win twice for the first time ever? Or will this person finally get his win? Like, we got that. The whole idea was to sort of give the generic sports feel. And I think that's fine for the first real, I guess we'd call almost Magic movie. Mm-hmm. But I would love for them to, now that they've made this, to be like, okay, let's make the developer movie. Let's make this movie. And in fact, I think a great idea would be to focus, if you remember the female player,
right,
who now works for them, to her experiences of helping develop cards or test them compared to just playing them.
Right.
Like, I think that would be a very cool perspective.
She's definitely not allowed to talk about any of that stuff. But we agree. We would love to see another movie that actually talks about more in-depth
and of course,
stuff.
Things that hit the news that are maybe they didn't unintentional,
more controversial
like
issues.
Excuse me. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of issues happening in the tournament scene that we could look back and it would be interesting to hear their opinion on. So when cards such as Jace the Mind Sculptor hit and pretty much just forced the meta into the most weirdest thing ever. When EDH hit and became so popular,
because some of these things I could see like, well, this movie was more about the tournament scene. I can understand why they didn't go into them.
Right.
But some of them directly are affecting the tournament scene.
Right.
So
but that's why I think I do think those are all things I want to see.
Yeah.
I think overall the movie is designed to be differently, which is hard to fit all those things in. But I'm telling you that I do think there is a large audience that would love to see all that.
Let us know if you're part of that large audience, or aren't you? Or you can ask us anything else you want, and we will read it on the show just like we just did.
Let us know if there are any other rules involving horses that we got wrong.
Right? Whether you're on Board Game Geek or YouTube or
Twitter.